Bless the gods.
What's funny is my mom's not here. I expected her to be here. She's a usual. I wonder where she went. She says she's happy and forget. We'll see. But it is the episode that she probably wants to miss, right? It's like,
What?
I don't care about my budget.
I'm in Masut. I don't care.
I spend as much as I want. No, probably if she puts in the money of her spending, she'll be too scared of what's happening to her money. So, I figure this is an episode that probably we have nobody because everybody's scared, and it's all right. I understand being fearful of your budget. Oh no, she does not fear. She is here, my mom. Oh, we can't hear you, but we know that you're motivated.
Yeah. I was talking with my mom.
Ah, very nice. How is Rachel?
She's very good.
That's good.
And I got my teeth fixed
Nice.
so I can smile away.
That's good. That's so good. That's that you're part of the party.
Salut, ma belle Alex. Hi, Christina. Hello, Estela.
I think that every time we do this, we have to invite my mom.
To spice it up.
Yeah, Celine is the spice. She's the energy.
It's crazy, eh? Even on internet, I can do it.
You can do it everywhere, Celine. You have the skills.
So I go on you and I pin you.
Yeah, that's always a good strategy. I also, for those of you who would like to try this class out with a file and try to put your budget in and see how your money's going, I actually put a file in the chat that you can open and you can create a copy of if you're interested. You don't have to, but it is an interesting exercise to try figure out your budget. You can just plug your numbers, say how much you make, how much you have. Nobody will know. It will be in between you and your computer. So it's your decision.
Okay.
I'm naturally
but to repeat that, I think Christina didn't actually heard it.
It's okay. There's no problem. Like I said, I'm going to repeat it a
But
bunch
you have to say it in Spanish now.
Qué bien. Decimos, Pepe y yo, que la próxima vez que hacemos ¿cómo dices? Discusiones, vamos a hacer en, ¿cómo se llama? En Oaxaca.
No.
¿Qué piensas? En Oaxaca va a estar un bien como discusión, pero con realmente personas, no al virtual. Pero ahorita pongo, no sé, pone una documente en el chat. Y si quieres, puede...
Entonces, si abren el chat, ahí van a ver un link donde se van a poder hacer los ejercicios que vamos a hablar hoy. Le das...
Okay.
Si quieres, solo si quieres. No, not mandatory, no obligatorio.
No quiero el questionnaire.
C'est bon, Céline, remplis-le pas.
How can close the document after we use it?
You mean you can that document you can't change it. If you
Yes,
open it,
but I open right now the document and I don't see anybody in the chat in the conference. Then I have to connect other time.
No, you can on top now. Let me try to show you what I mean, Estela. You can't see, but on top of your screen, you now have two things. One which is Google Meet. It should be written Meet Budgeting Your Life on top of your screen.
I
don't know how to say it, but on top, and you should have both. One which is like a sheet, a green one, and the other is like a camera. And so if you click on the camera, you come back to us, And if you go back on the green sheet, you can go to the document. So you can go from one to another if you want.
Okay.
Does it work, Estela?
Let me see.
Okay, good.
The chat.
It's just 7:05. You generally wait until 7:10.
But I have not seen the document right now. There is only the chat, but not the document.
Okay. I'm going to put it again so that you can see if it's there. So now in the chat, there should be the document.
Okay.
If you want, you
Then
can open it. Keep a copy of it. You click the link.
Oh, okay. Yes. But it's okay. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. We're going to look at this document together. When this class starts, we're going to talk about budgeting. And we're going to see, I'm going to fill it with my numbers. And we're going to look at where all that's going with my numbers. And then maybe if you want at the same time, you guys can fill with your numbers. But it's an option. You know, you don't have to. But it does give you an idea of where your money will be and, you know, next year, how much money you're spending. It's a good way of you know, trying to figure out, you know, how your money's going to go. And I think that all of us, you know, want to know where our money's going to go. And I've made it, and I thought about you guys. I actually thought about my mom when I did it. I figured, how can I make this so that this works for my mom? You know, it was quite a bit of challenge because she has such a strange financial situation. But
yeah, but you shouldn't worry about me.
Well, I am. Everybody, you know, it's important to know where your money's going. So then I know that you've taught me the basis of budgeting. And at the end of the class, I'm going to talk about it. The basis, but
yes.
we'll see where it's going. But you know, I think, and I'll talk about it later a bit, but the biggest question and the most important thing about budgeting is understanding what you need and what you want. What you need and what you want, right?
It's not the same.
It's not, yeah, exactly, right? Sometimes things you need, even if it's an expensive thing, if you need it, you got to spend for it. But if you want it,
that's another story.
That's another story, right?
James, I have a question for you. If you're, are you gonna do also a budget during that course? I mean, your own to share with the rest of the people.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready. I actually have it ready here. I have my slides right here ready, and I've got my budget. Are you gonna
base your budget like on our way of living? I just want to know if I need to do my own budget or if you're actually going to do it with everyone else.
I'm going to put fake numbers here, Alex. So if you want to do our real one, you can, right?
I'm too scared.
I'm going to make it. I actually did it not so long ago, Alex. I tested it out with our real numbers and it looks really nice, our budget. So if you want to give it a try, you can go give it a try. But you know, I think we did an amazing budget. Our current situation is quite mind-blowing. We did a good job. But naturally, you know, we try to do good. And I've already plugged all these numbers. Every time Alex wants to spend money, I open up an Excel document. And I'm like, all right, Alex, let's talk about this.
I want to spend money. James, you're the one spending most of the money.
Absolutely true. It is me spending most of the money. But you're the one who wants to buy houses. And so, you know, I have to convince you not to buy a new house.
Yeah, but I'm staying with the communist. So that's why I can't buy any more houses. I'm stuck with this one.
So we've got it going. Well, maybe people start showing up as the class goes. It's nice to see everybody on this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for being here. Today, you know, I just really want to spend some time to talk about, you know, what you should be doing to understand your budget. It's a very basic class, but at the same time, it is quite interesting because it is my most popular video online. Is my budgeting video. Look, Céline, you're missing out on Simon. He was there for a second. Poor you, Céline, missed out.
Oh no! Why?
Oh, he's here. Look, he's showing up.
Yeah, but I pinned you. I can't see him.
Unpin me. It's the new text situation. You just have to unpin me. You'll see Simon and Alexandra.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my baby boy. Oh.
Hiya. Very well. Yeah. Well, like I was saying, budgeting, an adventure. And like I said, this was my most popular video before. I'm hoping to make this to be my updated budget adventure video. You guys maybe watch it, think of it. It's an interesting situation. Let's start off with some important notes, okay, for you peps to figure this one out. You know, it's important. But this is my opinion on budgeting. It isn't facts. This isn't like nobody can tell you that they know budgeting like a fact. It's like this is how you budget, right? Everybody has their own ways of budgeting. The richer people have not the best idea of how to budget. The poorer people are the best budgeters around. You know, that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that they think that the rich are the good budgeters, eh, Pepe? But it isn't, right? It's not the rich that can budget well. It's generally the ones that have the least amount of money that are the best budgeters, because they can make miracles happen with $50, $100, or any type of money, right? Have you seen people make it with almost no money?
Yes.
I think you did it, Pepe, right? You told me that for a while you were living with like, I don't know, less than $200 a month for something. That's insane, less than $200 a month. How do you even live that way?
Yeah, I think it all depends on how you budget, or what things are important, or what your expenses are.
What do you think is the best spending? You know, tostadas?
A diet consisting of tostadas and cocos.
Tostada Coco Life. Right, that's how you do it.
Hey, that's a difficult life.
Sit in. I know you. You don't have a much more difficult life. You live on like 7 ingredients: cheese and yogurt and cereal.
Well, avocado, tomatoes, bread, meat. You know,
Yeah,
vegetables.
And so, like I'm saying, the idea behind this is not to share with you like facts, or, you know, it's mainly to talk about, you know, how can you budget, how can you figure out how much. This is a data-driven method, so we're gonna try to put in our numbers and see what comes out. And it's used to help you maintain financial sanity and mainly your freedom, because, you know, this is an interesting question, Pepe, I have for you. Does money give happiness, Pepe? Right?
It aids in happiness, but I don't think it's the one that gives you happiness.
Well,
Absolutely.
it aids in happiness, that's for sure. But I'm going to say that money actually doesn't affect your happiness. It affects mainly your security. And as you said, Pepe, you can't relax, right? You can't rest if you have threats. And so money, or lack of money, is a stress, and it's a threat. And so, you know, not having enough will affect your life. It will make you stressed, and it will also affect your freedom, because the more money you have, the less you have to work. The less you have to work, the more time you have for yourself, the more you are free.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is important to you know, have a good financial plan with your money, because ultimately, if you don't have enough, what's going to happen? Right? You'll lose your freedom. And I think both of us, we appreciate our freedom. For sure, we're privileged a bit. We've had, you know, good, rich families in a certain sense. You know, parents that had a situation that they could help us bring, you know, make sure we went to school, make sure we were fed. You know, I was rarely scared of having food on the table. There was one time in my life I remember I was pretty poor in school, but most of the time I was all right. But ultimately, it is about freedom. If you have enough money to be free, then, you know, you can do that. If you have no money, you end up working all the time. I can think about a lot of men, really, sometimes women also, but men that have spent their whole lives working and working and working for their families, and it's not it's a very noble thing to do. It's just that they had no freedom. Their freedom didn't exist.
Yeah, it's like you have to trade your freedom or your time to gain money. That, I think, it's the tricky part.
It's the basics of it. And so by budgeting, you can make sure to maintain your freedom and to maintain your financial sanity. And so this is an important exercise to do your budget. And so today I'm going to do one with you guys. We're going to talk about how we make a budget. I don't want it to be too long, because I really intend on making this episode something that people can watch online later down the road. I know my sister-in-law, Actually, my mother-in-law, Alex's mom, told me that I had to teach all her girls how to budget, which is an interesting thing that she told me. I was like, why do I need to do that? Right? Why do I need to teach all your girls how to budget? She's like, it's important, James. It's important. You just have to help them. And so I figured this is a good exercise. You know, maybe they're not there, but I'll send them the video anyway. I'm going to be like, listen to this. You got to learn how to watch this. I know you, Pepe. We're not that bad. Maybe Alexandra, you know, I know you're not that bad, but I'll tell you what. You're supposedly your mom's scared for, Marie-Pierre. She says she needs to check it out, make sure that everything's balancing out. Because, you know, sometimes when you make a lot of money, you stop counting. And when you stop counting, oof, that's when things can go very, very wrong. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, maybe I have to teach her a bit about the budget. So I don't want to make it too long. I want it to be at a good speed. So thank you, everybody, for being here. When you budget, 3 questions. 3 questions that you have to answer to properly make your budget. If you can't answer these 3 questions, you're going to have a hard time making your budget. I'm going to show you the questions right now, and I'm going to explain to you a bit of how you can find your answers to these questions. I knew, Pepe, you wanted Eva to be here. I don't know where she is. Probably she's very busy knowing her. But, you know, you'll give her the recording.
She was the recorded version then.
Exactly. That's always the best part about this is that, you know, it's recorded, it's easy, and a lot of people are watching him. So good news. But here are our 3 questions for today, guys and girls. How much money do you have now is the first part of your budget. This is very useful because if you have a lot of money now, you don't need to have a lot of income, right? You can figure out your life. So that's the first question you have to answer and be able to answer to figure out your budget. The second question you need to be able to answer is how much money do you make in an interval of your choice? Meaning how much money do you make a week or a month or a year? Certain people, it's easier to calculate for a week or for a month. When you're somebody who works at a salary, it's a bit easier to calculate your money on a month. If you're somebody who works, you know, in a restaurant or something like that, it's a bit easier sometimes to calculate a week. But when you're somebody that works for yourself, often, yes, our budget is more than our saving at the bank, Estela. Our budget is
the saving is the first question, isn't it? How much money do you have now?
Your savings is how much money do you have now. So if you have money in your bank account, that's your savings. We can talk about how that money is. We're going to talk about where we put it in a document. The next thing is how much money do you make if you have a job or if you work. So like people like you, Pepe, you don't receive money monthly or weekly, right? You receive money every time somebody pays you for a treatment or something like that, right?
Exactly.
So for you, it must be hard to figure out how much you make a week or how much you make a month.
Yeah, because sometimes a month I make twice as much as the month before, and then the next one is the opposite. So it's not a fixed thing.
Exactly.
Still.
Which is why I feel people in your situation have an easier time figuring out how much they make a year. Because maybe weeks and months vary a lot, but years tend to balance themselves out. And so you can, Estela says, my husband is terrible for his budget. Bring him in. Or show him the file, you know, ask him to come over. It's always, you know, it's never the one that's good at budgeting that takes the budgeting class. You know, it's never that one that we need. But, you know, so if you have your own income, try to figure out a year how much you make. And I think my mom would have said the same of my dad, Estela. She always says, I was the one that was good with my money. If dad was here, he always spent all the money for no reason. Is that true, Celine, or no?
Yes.
I believe that. And the last question is how much money do I spend and where do I spend it? You know, where do you spend your money?
I think that's a very important question because most of the things we spend the money on, we don't even take it to account and say, oh, that's too little money. I won't write it down. And that's what just keeps adding on and on, even if it's just a small thing like a chocolate or.
Exactly. Which is one of the great reasons why being able to, well, that's great, Estela. That's a great strategy. We're going to talk about that, about saving money on the side. But we're going to talk about it. I think, I have a plan to talk about it. I have a slide about strategy, Estela. We're going to come to it at the end. So we'll talk about the strategy and how it works, but not for now. For now, I just want to answer these 3 questions and show to you how you can answer these 3 questions by inputting it inside of a document and finding your numbers and making it work. Because the budgeting method I wanted to show you is about trying it out. It's not about magical, maybe I put this much or maybe I put that much. It's about figuring out if it is a good decision for you to do something with your money like that. And so I'm going to revert back to the first question, which is a very simple question, is how much money do you have now? And sometimes when you think about how much money you have now, we sometimes only think about our bank account, right? We're only thinking about the bank account we have, and we're saying, I have this much in my bank account. But sometimes we have other money that is negative. We have debts, like loans or mortgages.
Buying something in 12 months, or buying something in 6 months, or in 24 months.
Exactly, right? Your car, your credit card, your house. We often, in the new society, we are able to go in the negative, which is very interesting that we're allowed to go in the negative. You know, in my opinion, you know, and it's probably one of the reasons why the poor are better at budgeting, because they're not allowed to go that hard in the negative. But you know, sometimes when you make a lot of money, the bank lets you go deep on the negative side. You know, like I could put 40,000 in my bank account of debts right now, and you know, nobody would tell me stop, James. You know, it's a bit intense when you think about it, that's possible. But what's nice is we also have assets. Certain things have value, and that the value goes up, like a house. On average, a house goes up 8% a year. So if you have a house, that's cool. Your house just goes up. So if you have a house and it's paid, it's easy. Yeah, exactly. Real estate is a really good asset to have. It's strange that we have it, and the only reason it's so nice and so lucrative, it's because, you know, it's really a little evil in a certain sense. You know, Pepe and I talked about it for a while, but you know,
private property, it's a little devil.
Private property is pretty bad, but at the same time, it is an incredible thing for your budget. I put it in here, this budget, to help you put your assets of your house. If you have a house that's worth, you know, $300,000, you know, 1 million pesos, 2 million pesos, you know, these things are incredible. It's like your budget can never go bad if that happens. It's like you're protecting yourself forever by having these investments. Exactly, Estela. So you must have an easy time making a budget work. Maybe you don't even have to count, because when you start having real estate in your budget, life starts becoming very easy. It's a very nice thing. And in this document I've made, if you put your house real estate value, you're going to have you're probably going to have a very nice budget. And at the end, your numbers are going to look awesome. But we'll see that if you try it in the file. Another asset you have is your car. Sometimes some people have collectibles that have value, jewelry. I used to have a lot of cards that were worth a lot of money. I sold them all, made $5,000 out of cards. But sometimes we have collectibles that are valuable, that you can resell and that are worth it. And some of us have investments. Some of us put money in stocks and have portfolios. And, you know, maybe you put your money in an investment account and you put 2% on you get 2%. And it's true that your car loses value, but it's easy to resell, though. You know, you can sell your car pretty easily. So if you have a car that's worth 20,000 pesos, next year it's worth 15,000, but you can still sell it. So it's still good money. So it is money that you have, but sadly it's not money that gains value like a house. And not a lot of things gain value, eh? What things gain value? I don't know. Well, you know, a house gains value. Maybe some collectibles. But what else, right?
Usually
metals
like gold and silver.
Yeah, gold and silver gain value. But you know, food doesn't gain value. Food is a very interesting spending, right? Because you buy it and it loses all value instantly, right? You buy it and bam, it's gone. And so there's some things like that you buy that give you no value in return, and certain things that you buy that give you great value. Computers don't give you value. Generally, we buy them and we kill them. You know, we never like resell a computer. Exactly, Estela. Food has no value, but we enjoy. You're right. We do enjoy it. And so if I am to go on my document that I shared with you, the first tab at the bottom of the document, here is my money. And in here, you can input numbers. So you see here in bank account balance, you can say, all right, I have $3,000 in my bank account. Right here I put 3,000. So you see, I have $3,000 in my bank account. I can say that I owe $20,000 for my school. My house mortgage is $80,000, and I owe $5,000 to my credit card. And so now, if you look at my total at the bottom, it's in the negatives. I'm going to make these numbers a bit bigger here so we can see them better. But you see,
Yeah.
I'm in the negative, but if I have a mortgage, that means I have a house. So I have to put my house value there. So let's say my house is $150,000. So now all of a sudden, bam, my life's good. I've got a total. I didn't put any charts. I'm just putting these numbers in here because the charts can be nice, but what's important is knowing what's happening at the end of the day. So we're gonna do a step by step here. But like I said, if this is the document, and so what do you mean my chart? My document?
Yes.
Well, you should see it in between me and Pepe here. Or if
No,
yeah, I can send it to you as a link if you want. Here, I put it in the chat if you want to see it as a link, Estela. If you want to watch it as what I work in it. My car has $20,000 of value. And I don't have any collectibles and I don't have any investments. But Celine, if you did it, you should have different numbers because you probably have, not too many loans. You don't have a mortgage. You probably don't have a credit card debt, but you have house to value, Celine, and you don't have a car, but you have investments. These things could be input in here to see how much you have. And so right now, with these numbers, I seem to have $68,000 in value, considering these numbers here, which sounds pretty good. That means that, life's pretty good. 68,000 is a lot of money. And it's just, these are my numbers in a certain sense, not so far away from them. And so this is the first step. Pretty easy. You just input your numbers, and at the end of the day, it tells you how much you have. And if you have a negative number, it's a bit scarier than if you have a positive number, right? That's always ideal, right?
Yeah.
Pepe, I'm sure you can agree about, having negative numbers or positive numbers. Are you trying to fill these numbers in, Pepe, at the same time or no?
No, I already have this one.
Ah, you've already have this one. Nice. And so you can just stick it in the total if you know your number. That's very good. Absolutely, it's easy if you know that. But if I go back to my second question, which is how much money do you make at which interval? Sometimes you have to think about it a bit because it's a bit complicated. For some of us, it's less complicated. It used to be really complicated for me not so long ago, but now that I teach elementary school, I'm back to easy city. I just have to know how much I make every 2 weeks, put it in the document, and bam, I'm done. But do you get monthly paychecks? Do you get weekly paychecks? Do you get checks twice a month? Do you get investment return? Estela told us that she has rent money. You get real estate money. So you get people giving you rent money. I think mom also gets rent money. That's also money that you get. Do you get client-based work like you, Pepe, right? You work on a client basis, right? You get an average per year. And finally, your house will also increase in value. And although that doesn't look like money in your bank account, it is, right? So a lot of people forget this. That, I think the main reason why most of my friends made money in their lives is not because they were able to save money. It's because they bought a house, paid for everything they could pay, tried to maintain their credit card low, and then at the end of the day, when they sold their house, they made a ton of money. And that's really how a lot of people make money nowadays. And so house value increase is actually something that needs to be considered. A lot of people don't consider it, but in today's class, we will consider it. And so if you have real estate, it's important to try to figure it out. And it's also to convince you in a certain sense that if you want to make a good budget, you probably have to consider getting into real estate, which is sad, but it's true.
Sad, but true.
Yeah, it's something that I'd rather not, but hey, it's too powerful. So the second tab on my document that I have is I have my money at the bottom. The next one is income. And in here, I'm going to input my income and how it works. So I have every week, every 2 weeks, every month. I get paid every 2 weeks, and I get paid $1,600. Now, this is just me. If I were to input my partner, you could input it. My partner, she gets paid every month, twice a month. I could put her salary there. I'm not going to do it, but I can if I want to. If I had a yearly salary on the other side, like maybe I make another $15,000 on the side I can put it here. If you have investment returns, which I don't have, you can put it in this one. And if you have any extra income for any reason, you can input it there. And I can see here that considering my house value increase, considering my salary and my yearly salary, I make $5,700 a month of money.
So,
And so-
this form calculates even if you're inputting your salary for 2 weeks, it calculates it on a month, or if you do it yearly,
Yes.
it tells you how much you
Everything
get.
balances. So if you make a weekly salary a month, you can even put 2 or 3 if you want, because you can have one and the other. Maybe somebody's paid every week. It all calculates properly, and at the end, and it even adds your house increased value. If you have a house, it calculates your increased house value in it. So here I can put 8%. If you don't believe in 8% increase, put 5%. Oops, you have to write it properly though. And it will show you the right numbers. I'm going to make these numbers bigger also because it's a bit small. Oops. There you go. And so I can see here that 5% increase. And you see if I move it to 8%, the number goes up. 2%, the number goes up. If you don't want to calculate your house increase, put 0%. And it'll only calculate your salary. But you must not neglect the value of your house gaining value. It is real. And so this is easy and simple. All you got to do, fill in the first one, fill in the second one. You get all the numbers. And it's easy. Once that's done, now comes the real challenge. And you were right, Pepe, to ask about it. Right? You are absolutely right. The question is, how much money do I spend and where? Right, Pepe? Because why is this so important? It's because you have the most control on your spending, right? You don't have too much control about the money in your bank account. You don't have too much control about how much money you make.
Or the percentage of your real estate going up. That's something that's an outside factor, but you can always decide how much on what you're spending.
Exactly. Spending is the place where you have the most control, where you can do the most and try to act better. So you can't really do much for how much you make, and you can't really do much for how much you have, but you can do a lot on how much you spend. And so how do you figure out how much you spend? Well, over the years, I talked about it with a lot of people. And I got to admit that I think the best way to find out how much you spend is to start questioning yourself. What spending do you do every year? So every year you spend on a car, you spend on insurance, you spend on taxes. What are these yearly spendings? Sometimes, you pay for your driver's license. I don't know how it works in Mexico. Do you pay for a driver's license in Mexico?
Yeah.
Yes.
Usually it's like 2 years, or depending on the place.
It's 2 years. Here in Canada, we pay for our driver's license every year. If you have a car with a plate on it, you probably have to pay your plates every year. If you have insurance, you pay every year. So there's things that you pay every year. Then there's things that you pay on a monthly basis. Your rent, your mortgage, your Netflix, your whatever, cable.
Telephone, electricity, water.
Electricity, yeah. So you can think about it that way. There's things you will pay weekly, like food. Most people, they go for food every week. They go to the store, they buy food each week, and they come back, and each week they go again. Some people, they do it twice a week. Some people, they go every 2 weeks. But I think generally most people go to the store once a week. You might also get gas on your car once a week. And sometimes we also do daily spending. And daily spendings are like coffee, medication, cigarettes, drugs, beer. If you take 3 beers a day, it's very expensive. Very, very expensive. And this is the idea. And sometimes we even make spending seasonally, meaning here in Canada we have winter. So often for winter we have to pay for like winter snow removal. And that does change a lot of the process when you're paying for winter snow removal and things like that. So these are important things to consider. And so in the file I made, if you go to the file I made and you go in the spending sheet, you see here, I put you yearly, monthly, weekly, daily. So what you do, you just have to put the name of the spending. So let's say that my driver's license is one, right? It might be not the biggest spending, but it's there, so I can put it, right? $150. My plates, is also a yearly spending, $200. Another yearly spending, my taxes, my house taxes, right? I'm sure in Mexico, house taxes are also a thing, right? You have to pay taxes
It's
on
called predial. That's how it's called.
And what is it? It's like 2% of the value of your house or something, 1%?
I'm not sure.
But you know how you pay it, right? You have to pay it. So that's something that you have to pay. My house taxes here are around $1,300. I have the winter snow removal, which is total $1,800. When you think about it, it's pretty expensive. In Canada, life here is pretty expensive for certain things. Another thing I have to pay every year is my car insurance. I pay every year my car insurance, which represents $1,300. And so I keep adding this. And you see here in my file to the right, it shows to me how much a month it represents. And so you see here, it's just minus $300. So it's really not that stressful of a spending, these yearly spending here per month. Even though it might look big, it really isn't that big of a deal. Actually, anything you put in that yearly category gets divided by 12. So on a monthly basis, it's really not that big of a deal. Yearly spendings aren't very stressful. Some of us like to travel. Like my mom. If she travels every year, she knows she's going to buy, 3-4 plane tickets that are worth $500. So that's $2,000 right there, right? So you can input that in there also. So all you do is you put your money and you put how much you're going to spend on it. The monthly ones, let's say you have rent. Here we have a mortgage, which is about $600 a month. We have car payments. I don't know if it's common in Mexico to do car payments. Very common in Canada to do that, to pay cars on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
I have electricity, which is around $80. I get my phone, which is about $60. I get my internet, which is $100, and that's just because I'm too complicated and I want good internet. This is a good debate for me, but hey, I can't handle bad internet. And so you keep putting in here all your spending, right? Your monthly spending, anything that it is, right? I'm trying to think of what else I could put in there. I pay for a bunch of online services. Food, I'll put in weekly.
Yeah.
Online services, I did the math recently, and you guys can imagine that I have a lot of online things. I have websites, I have Netflix, I have Disney Plus, I've got Amazon Prime, I have, a slur of products online, and I calculated it up to $160 a month of online stuff, which is pretty scary, but it is not so bad when you think about the price of my internet, but it is a big spending for me. And so you can see that my negative number is going up here because I'm putting more spending in it. But if you're just looking at my yearly and my monthly, it's already $2,000 a month. But when I start spending in weekly and daily, I'm just going to show you how much. Let's say we're taking coffee, 2 coffees a day, 2 beers a day, and like 3 cigarettes a day, right? That's what we're doing. 2 coffees a day, 2 beers a day, 3 cigarettes a day. How much people live like that? A bunch, right? And so here I put coffee.
Yeah, it's not that much. Like 2 coffees is not that. It's the average, I would say.
Exactly, right? 2 coffees, $2, right? Beers, $3, and cigarettes, $3, right? And it affected my budget quite a bit for these small spendings.
You could add a little bit of peanuts or some snacks or chocolates or M&Ms or
sometimes people buy a chocolate bar every day, $2 right there. And
or Coke or a Coke.
Yeah, and it affects it quite a bit. Weekly on food, me and Alex spend about $300 a week on food.
Well, it's expensive to live in Canada. I don't know what you're doing there, man.
Well, you come over and see the prices at our stores. You'll see it's this the reality. It's sad, but it's true. And you guys, that's why I love going to Mexico, because as soon as I go there, my monthly spending goes down instantly. It goes from
come here and save money instead of spending more there.
Yeah, that's true. But it is how it is, right? I'd love to go there, but COVID right now, we're not even allowed to go it. You see, wow, but pesos, right, Estela? 2,500 pesos, right? So that's like very much less than me. But that's great. And when I'm in Mexico, it also costs me a lot less. But here I put some numbers. I put my gas, $50 a week for gas and food. And so already, just with these numbers, I'm at 3,700. The good news is I don't have beer, cigarettes, and snacks. So I'm going to kill those out of the budget already. But the food, look at how damaging this is. If I were able to go down to $200 a week on food, it would affect my budget greatly, right? $500.
Because if you add going out for food once a week, that's a lot more. It's those little things that we don't actually bring into account into our budgeting. Because because I don't do it every time.
But you should,
not,
right?
not having it there. Yeah.
Me and Alex order a restaurant at least once a week online. It cost us $40, and just by doing that, look, I'm at $3,490 a month. One restaurant a week. And I gained $200 of it. What an increase! Just because I chose to go to a restaurant once. What if you chose to go to a restaurant 3 times, right? 120. Look at that. I'm at 4,000. That's insane, right? What if I chose to smoke 1 pack of cigarettes a day? Right? Cigarettes is $10, $12 here for a pack. $300 a month for 1 pack of cigarettes a day. It's insane. You know, these things are great because you can put it in here. And you can change your numbers, and the numbers are going to change. You can go here. Oh, I forgot. I have to pay for Adobe Suite, which is so expensive. If you have Photoshop and things like that, it's $50 a month. Oh my! You know, it's not that bad. So you can add all your numbers. Yes, Estela, it's in the chat. It's in the invite. If you go, Estela, on the calendar invite, you know how you can go on your calendar? The document is in the calendar. And if you look here on the side, I'm going to zoom in a bit. On the side, I input some numbers to calculate. You remember I told you my value was 68,000. My income per month was 5,700. Okay, so I'll send an email, okay? I'll send you all the documents by email. The spending per month is 4,060. The value change means every month my value goes up by 1,600, meaning next month I'll be worth 69,000, and next year I'll be worth 87,000. If I stop spending on coffee, how much will I be worth next year? Let's look at this number, right? 87,000, I stop spending on coffee, and I'm off all of a sudden, you know, I'm worth $2,000 more at the end of the year just because I stopped spending $2 a day on coffee. You know, it's really nice. What if I remove my house? What's going to happen if I go here and I remove my house? I say, okay, I don't have a house. Bang. And I don't have a mortgage. Bang. $0. $0. I go back to my spending and I can see here that next year I only have $6,000, right? Really?
Yeah.
If I remove my house. My value now is minus 2,000. That's bad. My income per month is this. My spending per month is this. I changed by $600. Next month, I'm still not in the positive, right? And next year, I'm here. What's nice, and for my personal value, what's nice is that we actually have 2 salaries, me and Alexandra. So this is all our numbers, but this is for only 1 income coming in.
Yeah.
And we're still making it. But if I would put a second income, and I would put her bank account, you know, but I would have to input also her debts for school. We could go here and look at our actual value, and we can see our value's a bit down, but at least we're getting a lot a month. And maybe by next year, we're almost done with our payments. But, you know, if I were to control my spending, you know, what could I remove? This is all that I need.
Because I think that's the first question that you said. It's very different knowing what you want or what you need. Because most of these things are things we want, and it's different. And if it's a want that you really desire, well, go for it. But sometimes we just go overhead without actually noticing that it's not something needed to survive.
Exactly.
And, sometimes even harming.
Exactly. So, you know, that's why it's important. Every time you spend, you should ask yourself these 3 questions. Every time you spend, you should ask yourself these 3 questions, right? Do I need it? Do I want it? Will I use it? 3 important.
How long will I use it?
Yes. How long will I use it? Will I use it is ultimately important because, if you use it and it lasts 2 months, it's really not serious, but at least you used it. But if you buy something and you don't use it, even food, it's even worse. You buy food and you don't eat it and you waste it, that's like terrible, right? It's the worst. But if you are going to use it, at least it's not so bad.
Yeah, but James,
Yes, Mom.
the new thing is that when you buy things, you have to think also, how are you going to get rid of the package?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not necessarily in the budget, but it is an environmental factor to think about. And sometimes certain things that you have to pay to get rid of, like tires and things like that, and cars, and it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing you have to do to maintain a good budget is every time you spend, do I need it? Do I want it? Will I use it? Every time I spend, I do it. And, I think Alex is tired of hearing it. Like every time we talk about spending, I'm like, Alex, do we really need it? Not really.
Do you
No, but
really
do we
want
really
it?
want it? Yeah. Well, if we want it, are we going to use it at least? And if we do use it, at least I'm happy about that. But when we buy something and we don't use it, she hates it because I bring it back every week. I'm like, we bought this, we didn't use it, Alex. Why did we buy it? And she borderline wants to murder me every time. But to me, it's a big deal. I will not tolerate spending that we don't use. That's really bad. And so just to finish off, I have, I want to talk about the best strategy. How can you think about your money and have a good strategy? Estela said she's putting 10% of her income on the side. Some people say, should I try to put $200 a month aside? Choose to stop spending on something. I'll stop buying coffee. I'll stop buying this. I'll stop buying that. Is that a good strategy? Save money each month. Use a bank account and put money in it and never touch it. I personally think these are bad strategies. They can work when you have enough money, but generally they're not the best way to have a good budget and to save money well. Because you might end up cheating, you might end up needing the money. Okay, so the best and most simple strategy is simply don't spend your money. Simple, isn't it? Right? If you want to have a good budget, don't spend your money. And if you spend your money, only spend it on things you need. Things that you can't do without. Things that if you don't have, your house is going to break. Or your car is going to die. Or something's not going to work, right? And so there's a lot of things that don't fall in this I need category, right? And so every time you do these spendings that are not I need and that they are I want, you go against good budgeting strategy, right? That's it. That's all I can tell you, right? It's not about saying I'm going to put $200 aside every month. It's about not spending on things that you answer the question I want it. As long as you're able to do that, you'll be okay. And that's very critical, right? And to me, it is mandatory that we understand that, that's the only piece of advice I can give you. And it's really the smart way. And, knowing where your money's going, inputting, using the file. And by the way, like I said, if you ask me for it, I will send you this file. You can plug your numbers in it, right? And at the end of the day, it will tell you how much money you have, how much money you're making, and if you input how much you're spending, it'll tell you if you're going in a good direction. It's easy. You fill it in, and it's done. And so that's really easy. And so, I know it's early, but like I said, I didn't want to make this a long episode because I want to share it online on LinkedIn, and I want to share it with other people. So unless, Pepe, you have any other questions, I'm going to go to conclusion notes. But I think this was a pretty simple and clear class on
I
budget.
think the tool is amazing because it just simplifies everything. Trying to do the same thing on paper, it's super hard because you have to then erase it and add again. And having a table just make it so automatic that you just update. This month I won't be spending on this anymore, so it just auto-corrects, and I think it's a great tool you're giving us.
Yeah, and it's easy to use because, you're like, oh, I want to buy a new sofa, and I know it's going to cost me this much per month. I want to see if it's really going to affect my money. You go ahead and you can input new data, right? You can put new numbers, remove old numbers, right? And it's very easy. And all you have to do is maintain this one budgeting document, and it will tell you what's happening, and you'll have a good idea of where your money's going and how much money you're making. It can be used for businesses. I actually made it for Eva specifically, Pippi. You know, I figured that she could use it and have an advantage about filling these numbers and being able to know what's happening with her money. You know, this is a document I've actually shared with a lot of my students, and I've had students come back to me and thank me for this. Justin, which comes to our classes, didn't come to this class because he used to be in class with me, and he actually loved that budgeting class, and he told me that he still uses my budgeting advice, and that right now he's very happy. He has the freedom thanks to these budgeting classes I gave to him. And so, you know, Pepe, I'm happy you think that the tool is good. It's there. It's yours. I made it for you guys. If you want to use it, use it. Okay, it's easy. So on this note, I want to tell you guys, okay, good luck. Spend less and have more time. And be truly free, right? Because that's the only way to do it.
I also think that when you start spending less, you need to stop working more. Because the more you spend, the more you have to work. And
Exactly.
I think, and we've always talked about it, how time is our most valuable resource. And being
not only our most valuable.
It's our only.
It's our only. That's what people
Yeah,
forget.
So being able to decide what to do with our time and when to do with our time.
Eva joins the
That's
party. A bit late, but she has arrived. We're
Yes,
almost done.
I'm so late.
It's
Ah,
okay,
I
Eva,
missed
don't worry.
all the fun.
We have the recording, and it's going to be fast.
Oh, yes. Great, great.
Hector
Just
says that-
an episode I was really looking forward to.
It's okay. We've recorded it. Everything's nice. You'll be able to rewatch it. No problem. And I even made a nice document for you, Eva, that looks really nice. I hope you'll be able to use it. Hector says, the more money you spend, the more you need to work. Isn't that true?
Mhm.
Yeah. The more money you spend, the more you need to work. Yeah. If you want to spend a lot. Or if you've got like 9 kids, you know, you got to spend a lot of money. You know, sometimes you can live better if you don't have too much kids or too much stuff to spend. You know, I think that's one of the weird things about us Canadians. When people from Africa come here, they look at us. We all have dogs and cats. They all cost us a ton of money, you know, and we really don't need
Pets
them.
are really expensive. That's something you should also put in your budget, like going to the vet, and the food and the fleas and all this.
You know, if I go to my document, that I was talking about, you know, this is something that I could easily input here. Me and Alex calculated that the dog food had a monthly cost of $60 ish, right? And the vet yearly is about $600, and the car repairs are also about $2,000. You know, and you know you can start putting all your numbers in here, and then at the end of the day, you'll have a good idea of how much money you're making. And what's funny is that you save it, and then you remember, oh yeah, I spend $100 a year on this thing. Maybe I should go put it in there. And you try to maintain a good document here with your information, and it will give you a great view of where your money's going, how much value you have, where your value is going to go. You know, it's a very simple tool. You plug your numbers and it works. And so, you know, I encourage you guys to use it. I connected it to the invite. You know, if you go on the calendar invite I gave you for today, right here in the calendar invite, you can't really see it here. I'm going to try to move it. There's the PowerPoint presentation and the template for your budget. You just click it. It opens a template. It's empty. You go here, File, and you click Make a Copy, and you'll have your own copy to work with and try out and make your own budget and figure out if you're spending enough or making enough or not making enough to, you know, figure out your budget. So if you're interested, it's available. It's always going to be there. You can keep yourself a copy and then use it. Yes, exactly. Estela, you know what? I'm going to send it to you by email right now. I'm going to do it straight. Oops. I'm going to do it straight, but I'm going to stop the recording. So thanks, everybody, for coming. This was great. I hope you're going to watch the recording again. And I'll send it right now to you, Estela, so I don't forget.